So you've probably seen those stunningly realistic AI conversations created by Google's NotebookLM. They're so good, people are publishing them as podcasts. It's pretty wild. But here's the thing. As impressive as those AI-generated podcasts are, you are not in the driver's seat. You don't control the script. The voices are limited, and you definitely can't make it sound like you. That's where JellyPod steps in. A game changer for AI podcasting. With JellyPod, you get complete control over your podcast's content, down to the last word. And your podcasts will have your unique and personalized sound by designing unique, custom-made hosts or by cloning your own voice. So now you can make a podcast that's true to your brand or your identity. And in addition to these empowering features, it's super quick and ridiculously easy. A few clicks and you're ready to roll.
Quick and easy.
Keep watching to see how it works and to hear how it sounds.
No equipment, no recording, just your ideas. What story will you tell? JellyPod, the AI podcast studio.
Let's listen to some examples here. The origins of Santa.
Ho, ho, ho. Hello there, my friends, and welcome to a tale as old as Christmas itself. Today, let's journey back through time to uncover the story of Father Christmas.
Okay, motivation check.
David, you've talked a lot about pushing through extreme situations, like Hell Week and ultramarathons.
Yeah.
But what about the day-to-day stuff? How can people build mental resilience when they're not facing those life or death moments?
That's a good question, man.
Yep. Crypto Chronicles.
Welcome to Crypto Chronicles, brought to you by JellyPod Studio, a versatile tool for creating any podcast. This is Hope Moon, an expert in Web3 and crypto, and with me is Edward Weber, a specialist in crypto and technology.
Let's move on to today's major crypto news.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So just to start off, I'll give you a brief overview of JellyPod. There are 3 key areas that we're going to be looking at with the JellyPod workflow. 1 are the hosts, 2nd is the podcast creation, and 3rd is the publishing and distribution of your podcast. Now regarding the hosts, in JellyPod you can make your own hosts, and there are 2 categories of host. One is a fictitious made-up host, and the other is a host that's based on a real person. And then you have 3 different voice type options. If your host is based on a real person, then you'd probably want to use the clone voice function. And if you're designing your host from scratch, then you can either design a unique voice for that host or choose from a pre-designed voice library. Now moving on to podcast creation, JellyPod allows you to make multiple series of podcasts, each with their episodes within them. You can assign whatever hosts you want to each series. And when you create an episode, you provide a single or multiple sources. JellyPod will create an outline for you based on those sources, which you can edit. And from the finished outline, it will make you a transcript, which you can also edit word for word. And then finally, the publishing, which is pretty simple. You generate your audio, and then you can either share the link, grab an RSS feed, download an MP3 file, or integrate with Spotify. So without any further ado, let's get into the demo. So to make our custom-made podcast, we're going to do the following steps in this order. First of all, we're going to create our 2 hosts, one called Matthew Jones and the other called Sarah Haynes. Then we're going to create our podcast series, which is going to be about cosmology, and it's going to be called Cosmological Conundrums. And then we're going to create a new podcast episode, which is going to be called Is the Universe Older Than We Thought? And then we're going to provide it with a source, which is this article by the Brighter Side News. And then from that source, JellyPod is going to create an outline for us. Once we're happy with the outline, we can generate a transcript. Once we're happy with the transcript, then we can generate the audio. And once we're happy with the audio, then we can publish our podcast episode. So let's get into it. So here we are at the JellyPod website. We log in. These are a couple of podcast series I've already created. But the first thing we're going to do is to create our hosts. So to do that, we go over here on the left and we click hosts. And these are ones that I have already created in the past. one of which is myself, a voice clone. And these other hosts here are all created using the voice design feature, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But let's just hear, for example, Diana.
Life's a stage, and I'm here to share the spotlight with you. From Chicago's comedy clubs to deep conversations, I blend humor with heart.
Okay, so as you can see, good quality voices. Now for the main demonstration in this video, I'm going to use two custom-made hosts, one with a unique voice made by the voice designer and another with a voice from the voice library. But I want to show you the voice clone process because it's an important feature of JellyPod. So let's have a look at that now. And I'm going to do myself. Name Jonathan. That'll do. All right, so it's a very simple process. We click the voice clone tab and you can either speak into the mic by clicking here and then it will start recording, or you can upload. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, here it is. Okay, loaded. So just make sure the file size is not over 10 megs. Okay, and then you also have to confirm here that you have the rights to upload and clone these voice samples. So really all you have to do is upload the file, check the permission box and hit the create host button.
A few moments later.
And there you go, it's been done. That was about 10-15 seconds. So let's just have a little listen. Hello, I'm Jonathan. With a classic English accent and a touch of London, my voice is here to offer calm and reassurance. Let's explore the world thoughtfully, one conversation at a time. Okay, yeah, that's pretty amazing. Very happy with that. Now, we want two new hosts, so we go to Add New Host, click there. Okay, right, so one of the interesting things about JellyPod is that it asks you to create a backstory for each host. Now, if the host is a real host, then you would put in the real backstory. But if you're creating some virtual hosts that are not based on real people, then you have to create a backstory. Okay, it does want you to do this because it uses the details that you provide when it generates the content. So the host's personality and their details will be incorporated. In fact, let's just take a slight detour from the process and take a closer look at the voice design feature, which is actually called Magic Voice Design because of how it leverages the host's backstory to generate a voice that matches the host's personality. And they give these examples here, like a Wall Street finance bro from New York, an ancient samurai warrior, or an evil wizard from the 1300s. So let's just have a bit of fun here and see what voices the voice designer comes up with for these proposed characters. Okay, let's try the Wall Street finance bro. So what I've done is I've asked ChatGPT to expand on the description a little bit so that the Magic Voice Designer has some more information to go on. So we've got Jake Thompson. Okay, so that should be enough information. Let's click Create Voice and see what it gives us. All right, let's have a listen.
In the world of high finance, speed and precision are everything. I thrive on the thrill of the deal, the rush of the market. From Wall Street to the Hamptons, it's all about making the right moves and...
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. That definitely suits the backstory anyway.
In the world of high finance, speed and precision are everything. I thrive on the thrill of the deal, the rush of the market. From Wall Street to the Hamptons, it's all about making the right moves and living life to the fullest.
That's also very good, very fitting.
In the world of high finance, speed and precision are everything.
It sounds too laid back, but these first two are very suitable indeed for a made-up character.
In the world of high finance, speed and precision are everything.
Yeah, that voice is really convincing, I think, number 2 for this backstory. So, in this case, the Magic Voice Designer was able to make a voice that reflects our backstory, the personality and character of this guy. So it's certainly done what it's designed to do there. Now let's take a look at the wizard. Okay, so ChatGPT has given us Malakar the Malevolent, 47 years old. Shouldn't that be 470 years old? I'm going to say 470 years old. See what happens. Okay, a dark wizard from the 1300s, feared for his mastery of forbidden magic. Well, let's just see how it does with that. Okay, create voice. Okay, let's see.
In the shadows of time, I have mastered the dark arts. Fear me, for I am Malakar the Malevolent. My power is boundless, my will unyielding. Those who dare defy me shall face the wrath of ancient curses and the relentless march of my dark legions.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think it's definitely appropriate for our backstory. Try number 2.
In the shadows of time, I have mastered the dark arts. Fear me, for I am Malakar the Malevolent. My power is boundless, my will unyielding. Those who dare defy me shall face the wrath of ancient curses.
It's also pretty good.
In the shadows of time, I have mastered the dark arts. Fear me, for I am Malakar the Malevolent. My power is boundless, my will unyielding.
Yeah, that's all right. It's powerful, but I think the first one is the best of the 3.
In the shadows of time, I have mastered the dark arts.
Yeah, okay. So I think we can safely say that the Magic Voice Designer does what it says on the tin. It's creating for us voices that are very fitting for the backstory that we've created. So anyway, let's get back now to our podcast creation. Okay, so in this host creation interface, there are 3 steps. First is the name of the host. Second is the backstory. And then third is the type of voice you want to use for that host. And the backstory must say what language and accent the host speaks in, as well as their speaking style and something about their personality. So we're going to create Matthew with a professional voice, which is a voice taken from this list of pre-made professional voice clones. And then for Sarah, we're going to use the voice design tool to make a unique custom voice. And you would want to create a custom voice if you want unique voices that you can then reuse in all of your podcast episodes. So we're starting with Matthew. So I asked ChatGPT to create a couple of backstories, one for Matthew, one for Sarah. And here's Matthew's, so we'll grab that and paste it into the backstory field. Matthew Jones speaks with a polished English accent, voice steady and thoughtful. So I already knew which voice I wanted to use, which is this one, because I really like it. It's an English guy. So I told it ChatGPT it should be an English guy. So I've got a little lesson.
It's not about what we have or what we achieve, but about how we experience each moment.
Okay, so that's all you have to do. And we can now press create host, because we have our host name, backstory, and the voice. So let's go. Okay, so there he is, already created. Now let's go back to our hosts. And now let's create Sarah. Add new host. So Sarah Haynes, get her backstory. She's American. Let's put her in here. Crisp, clear American accent that hints at her Midwestern upbringing. Okay, now, unlike when we choose a professional voice, we're creating the voice from scratch. So the backstory is important here. Anyhow, we are ready. So we can click create voice and it will give us 3 choices. So let's have a little listen. We want a crisp, clear American accent. So let's have a look.
Exploring the universe is like playing a symphony on my cello. Each star, each galaxy tells a story waiting to be shared.
Exploring the universe is like playing a symphony on my cello. Each star, each galaxy tells a story waiting to be shared.
Exploring the universe is like playing a symphony on my cello. Each star, each galaxy tells a story waiting to...
I think they're all really good. I would say perhaps it's between 1 and 2.
Exploring the universe.
Exploring the universe.
Okay, I'm going to choose voice number 1.
Exploring the universe is like...
Just really like it. Sounds very realistic and human to me. And then that's it. We can create our host. And there you go. It's already done.
Exploring the universe.
All right. So if we go back to hosts, we can see that we have 2 new hosts here, Matthew and Sarah. Just before we move on, I wanted to show you very quickly, you can let the AI create your host for you, and it's very easy and quick. You just click the random host details button here, AI create, and it will give you a host name and backstory, and then you could design a custom voice if you wanted based on this backstory. Okay, Luna Ramirez from Austin and engineer turned author, but we're not going to do that in this case. So now let's move on to the next step, which is to create our podcast and add our hosts. So to do that, we go to podcasts and we click create new podcast. Right, now this step is actually very simple and very quick. You just give your series a title, a description, add your hosts, and you can add an image if you want. So let's get the title in there, Cosmological Conundrums. Obviously, you might want to put a longer description in. I did prepare a little image in Midjourney of Matthew and Sarah. Okay, here it is. Thought that was very nice by Midjourney. So there we are. And then the last thing to do is to add our hosts. So we have Matthew and Sarah. And that is it. We have our podcast. So let's create. So we have our hosts, we have our podcast series, and now to create an episode. Now, this is where you will want to spend time refining the content, reading through it to make sure you have exactly the podcast that you want. All right, let's get this episode underway by clicking the new episode button. And this is where we add our source material. In this field, you can paste a URL, attach a file, or describe your episode in a few words. So we have our URL, as shown earlier. Is the universe much older than we thought? Let's grab that URL, paste it in. So we just click add source, and the source is scanned and analyzed, and then it's ready for us to use it. Let's just pause our process for a moment. I just wanted to add, regarding this step where we provide our source, you're not limited to just the one source. You can provide up to 3. So let's say, for example, I have this URL. I can add that gets processed, and then I can go back here, take another URL and add that source. And I can even upload a file as well. A PDF, and that will also be scanned. And now we are at our maximum of 3 sources. And if I hit create, then the outline will be made by combining all 3 sources. And by the way, you can also do a YouTube video. Let's take this URL of this video, bring it into JellyPod, paste it in here, and add source. And it will get analyzed and understood by the JellyPod AI. Let's hit create. Anyhow, let's get back to our process. All we need to do is click create, and our outline will be created and presented to us. And here we go, reimagining the universe with JWST, James Webb Space Telescope. All right, so things to note here. We have an episode outline presented to us. However, one of the USPs of JellyPod is the ability to edit everything to get it exactly as you want it. So this episode outline, you can just accept as is, or you can revise it fully and make any changes that you want. And you can also make it longer or shorter. So the title here can be edited, okay? So can the bullet points. The chapters can be organized. So we can swap chapter 1 and chapter 2 if we so wanted. Let's put them back. And we can add a new chapter, or we can delete one. We can do the delete icon here, and that whole chapter will disappear. We can add a new chapter, so we can enter our chapter title. I don't know if this is any irrelevant, but we can just do whatever we want, basically. For example, or just as random examples, okay? And all of this stuff it's given us is completely editable down to the word. So let's say I don't want analyze, I want discover. That's perfectly possible. Or I think this point here is unnecessary, just completely remove it. Okay, so as you see, it is wonderfully customizable. There isn't really any limit. There's nothing you can't change here. So let's just try to put everything back as it was. Okay, and it's also given us a title and a intro here, a summary of the podcast episode. All right, so that's the outline step. Once we've got it exactly as we want it, then we move to the next step, which is to generate our transcript. So let's click that button. And now we will see a screen with the outline on the left and the transcript on the right. And there we have it. There is our transcript, which took about a minute, I think. So that's pretty fast. And as you can see, we have the two speakers here interchanging the speech. Now, at this stage, you could swap them if you wanted to, change them around, because we haven't yet generated the audio. Okay, so we can't preview this until we generate the audio. Generating the audio will use up credits. So until you're sure that you've got what you want, don't generate any audio. Okay, and actually, so far, I haven't used any credits at all. Okay, so I started this whole process with 1,000 credits, and that's what I've still got. Now, when I generate the audio, then it's a different story. We will use some credits up. Okay, so you can do all of everything we've done up to now. So I think that's a plus, because it means you can design your episodes and play around with your outlines, etc., without costing you any credits. Okay, and only when you finally have it right, then you can decide to spend your credits. Okay, so this is organized into chapters, the 3 chapters that we see in the outline. All right, and we can see the paragraphs, etc. And again, here we have complete customization and control over this content, because we can literally edit it word for word. Okay, let's say I want to remove this word. Well, there you go. Okay, it's all possible. And, again, we can add a new sentence here. We can remove part of a sentence. We can remove a whole sentence, etc. So just like the outline, 100% customizable. Again, you might want speed. You might want the AI to do it, and you might not care too much, in which case you can just hit generate audio. And actually, this whole process would be very quick. Or you can spend time and make sure it's exactly what you want to say, which could be incredibly powerful. The good thing is it caters for both cases. And in the case that you do want to be very specific about what the hosts speak, well, in comparison to NotebookLM, it's like night and day. Right, so everything's ready to go for it, and click Generate Audio. Let's go.
A few minutes later.
Okay, so our audio is now generated and ready to listen to, so let's have a listen.
So the James Webb Space Telescope has been making headlines again, and for all the right reasons this time. One of its most astonishing contributions has been its ability to peer back into what we call the cosmic dawn, a time roughly 500 to 800 million years after the Big Bang. Now here's the kicker. What it's found defies almost everything we thought we knew about astrophysical models.
Right, we're talking about these impossible early galaxies, as they're being called, right? I mean, come on. Galaxies featuring things like, bulges and disks, at a time when they were basically, toddlers, cosmologically speaking?
Exactly. The analogy many scientists have landed on likens it to a child, perhaps only a few 100 million years old, possessing the wisdom or structure of someone far older. These galaxies should not exist in the form that JWST has observed them. Yet,
wait, are you saying they've totally thrown the 13.8 billion-year-old age of the universe into question? Because I thought we had that locked down, to an almost obnoxiously precise number.
So I think it's very good, very, very good indeed. It's actually very coherent and error-free. Let's listen to a little bit more.
We're encountering phenomena that challenge every conventional model of galactic evolution.
And what exactly about these galaxies is so hard to explain? I mean, yeah, early disks sound weird, but what does that actually mean for how we understand everything?
Well, these galaxies are peculiar for multiple reasons. They're not only older than predicted, they're appearing to have an accumulated mass that doesn't quite add up. It's as though JWST has unveiled a secret history of the cosmos. A history where our tidy, linear progression doesn't apply anymore.
So, it's chaos. No wonder astrophysicists are freaking out. And this throws timelines into disarray too, right? If these galaxies had to develop faster than we thought, what even is our concept of early universe now?
Precisely.
I think that it's fantastic. The quality is excellent. And the fluidity is fine. I think it's very, very good. The NotebookLM fluidity for me is perhaps a hair better, but of course, with Notebook, you can't design your voices. This tool, what it gives you is complete control and flexibility. I think it's fantastic, basically. Really, really good. Very impressive. Let me know what you think in the comments below, please. I'd love to know. Okay, so now all that is left to do is to publish our episode. Incidentally, that generation of audio used 646 credits, okay? That just shows you the importance of, if you care about the detail, going through the actual transcript and just checking that there's nothing in there that you don't think is right, because when you generate, you're going to be spending credits. Like, for example, here, if I, was being careful, I would have read through this word for word, and I would have seen something here which I didn't like too much. When Sarah says, "I mean, come on," it doesn't sound very appropriate for this context. So I would have changed that and got rid of "come on." Okay, I didn't do that because I'm just showing this as a demonstration, but I'm just highlighting the importance of doing that before you generate. If you care about that detail, you might just want to churn it out, and in which case it's close enough to perfection anyway. Okay, so let's now publish our episode. We do that by hitting the publish button here, and it just reminds us that once we've hit publish, we cannot go back and make changes, but I'm happy with that, so I'm going to save and publish. Okay, there we go, that's done. So we have our episode title, description, the transcript as well is here, and the source that was used. Okay, we can preview.
This is up everything we thought we knew.
Now here we have podcast distribution options, but we can also here click the share episode button, copy the link, and then anybody who uses the link will see this nice user interface, okay, and be able to play back.
So the James Webb.
Okay, and we can also download our audio file just like that and hit save. You can download the transcript as a text file, and then we have the podcast distribution options button here. So this is a RSS feed that you can copy and paste, and a Spotify integration. I'll just walk you through how to set up your podcast on Spotify. The first thing to do is to copy the RSS feed here by clicking the copy icon. And then we go to this Spotify URL, which is creators.spotify.com/dash/submit. Now you do need a Spotify account for this. So I'm logged in, but if you don't have an account, then you need to create one first. So then we just paste the RSS feed link that we just copied into here. And now what this is going to do is to link your podcast series or show so that every time you publish a new podcast, it will appear automatically in Spotify. Okay, it says looks good. So then you hit next. You have to verify that you own the podcast. So you will get an email from Spotify with a code in it. Hit send code. Check your email, grab the code, paste it in, verified. Hit next, fill out some details about your podcast. Okay, then hit next. Yeah, just check everything's okay, submit. All right. And then we have our Cosmological Conundrums podcast on Spotify. Now, it takes a few hours for your podcast to show up, so I'll hit done for now. And when it's ready, we'll continue. And there we have it. We have our podcast show, Cosmological Conundrums, created and published on Spotify with our latest episode here, Reimagining the Universe. Data still processing though. And incidentally, if you click this button here, you will see step-by-step instructions for how to do the process anyway, which is very helpful to make sure you don't get stuck. So that is the full process for creating a podcast on JellyPod, 100% customizable, with total control over the content and the hosts. I hope you found that useful. Let me know in the comments below if you think this is an interesting service. JellyPod is a paid tool, although it does give you 1,000 credits free for you to try it. Don't miss out on my 15% discount for JellyPod if you do decide to go for it. Just use my link in the description and you'll get 15% off any plan for the first 12 months. Lastly, just to add that JellyPod are working on releasing a visual part to the podcast studio, i.e. video, which is very exciting and which I'm really looking forward to. You can download my show notes to this video in the description below. If you liked this video, then consider subscribing to my channel and hit the like button. Until the next video, happy podcasting.